All right, good morning, everyone. I'm Alex Shanosky, Vice President of Business Development for Transform Materials. And what I want to do is talk about the role of carbon in clean hydrogen production. And please feel free to visit us at booth B69 after this if you have any questions. So just to set the stage, I want to look at the carbon end state in existing hydrogen production processes today. And the predominant form of hydrogen production today is from steam methane reforming. And in this process, all the carbon that comes in comes out as CO2, and that gets emitted to the atmosphere if there's not carbon capture on it. Going down the list, it gets a little bit better if you do partial oxidation or autothermal reforming. And in this, some of the carbon goes to a feedstock for petrochemical processing. And this can be in the form of syngas or acetylene or a mixture thereof. To clean up these three processes, there's the process to capture that CO2 and essentially treat it as a waste product. So rather than let it emit to the atmosphere, capture it and put it underground and just treat it as a waste product. Now with pyrolysis and plasma, we look to actually lock in the carbon into a useful product. So on the pyrolysis side, the carbon goes out as solid carbons or carbon black. And then what Transform Materials has developed is a plasma process that locks the carbon into a gaseous acetylene product that can be used for petrochemical processing. And so I'll talk about this a bit further in the upcoming slides. So a bit about Transform Materials. We have developed a plasma reactor. So that is the core technology that we've developed. And it's a very simple and robust process. So it takes two inputs and has two outputs. It's a completely electrified process. So one of the inputs is electricity to power the microwave components that actually generates the plasma. And then we require a hydrocarbon feedstock. One of the benefits of the technology is it can take any hydrocarbon feedstock and process that. So that can be pipeline natural gas, that can be renewable natural gas, flare gas, tail gas, anything that's going to get emitted to the atmosphere, we can actually capture and send through our reactor and convert it to useful end products. So it's a very robust system that really can process, like I said, any hydrocarbon feedstock. And then what comes out is just pure stoichiometrically, it's 80% by mass acetylene and 20% by mass hydrogen. So all the carbon that goes in gets converted to the acetylene product, and then we have an abundant amount of clean hydrogen that's useful for the marketplace. So acetylene is a very diverse feedstock that can be used for petrochemical processing. And what we look to do with our facilities is site it at the customer site, so provide a fence line pipeline supply of acetylene for chemical processing. And then if there's not the use for the hydrogen can be moved. And so Transform has several sizes of plants that we can do. If it's on the smaller size, you can actually compress it and put it into gaseous hydrogen tube trailers. And on the larger plants, we can liquefy the hydrogen and send it out into the merchant market in liquid form. A few benefits of the process, again, there's no oxygen input into the reactor, so there's no combustion involved. So there's no CO2 generated in the process, it all comes out in the product. There's also no carbon solids to dispose of. So we don't have to take turndowns or shutdowns and clean out the reactor because we don't generate solids. It's all a gaseous feedstock that comes out. And what fuels the reaction is the plasma. So there's no catalyst involved whatsoever. So a bit more about the plasma, because that really is the core technology of Transform Materials. And so you'll see on the right-hand side, on the right-hand side is the plasma in action. And so it creates a cyan color, and this is what it will look like in production. And so a few of the benefits of plasma is it's an inherently safe process. So it operates at vacuum and it's fail-safe. So what powers the plasma is the microwave components. As soon as you lose power, you lose your plasma and you're not creating acetylene. So as soon as any disruption, it shuts off and you don't have stored energy, so it's a very inherently safe process. It's also very energy efficient. So all the energy that comes in from the microwave generators gets utilized for the actual production of green chemistry. So it gets locked into the plasma. There's no side reactions that occur. So it's all being efficiently used And it really is a great process for converting the hydrocarbons into useful products. One of the benefits of microwaves for the power component is its rapid startup and shutdown. So it's just like the microwaves that you have in your home. You hit the power button and it starts up and it stops, it extinguishes the plasma. And then as far as the technology, it has been commercially proven. So we have a pilot plant where we've done a 30-day continuous runtime, and we've also have over 2,500 hours of uptime on our commercial scale reactors. So I want to just talk to the carbon utilization and how we get to the efficiency that we do. So as you can see from this, what comes in is gaseous hydrocarbons. It can be, like I said, any hydrocarbon feedstock. It gets sent through the Transform's plasma reactor. And on the first pass, we get 90 to 95% selectivity. So that's highly energy efficient. With that, there's not a lot of side reactions that occur where there's wasted energy. However, there are some heavier carbons that come out. And so we look to remove those heavier carbons, and given the robustness of the reactor, it can just be sent right back to the plasma reactor and get converted to acetylene on a second pass. So that's how we get our high carbon efficiency. So then what comes out of the impurity removal step is a hydrogen acetylene gas blend. So here we just have to separate the two products, and then we also pull out any unreacted feedstock as well. So the unreacted feedstock gets sent back to the reactor as well. And that's how we get to, again, it's a 99% full conversion of the carbon coming in into the products. So some of the sustainability advantages of this technology is no natural gas is burned, right? So we don't waste any carbon in this process whatsoever. There's no combustion involved. It is very high energy efficiency, so all the energy input from the microwave does get coupled into the plasma and into the hydrocarbon feedstock. It is a continuous process, so there is not necessary, you don't have to take downtime and clean out the reactor. And then again, I've hit on this a few times, but it does stably process any type of hydrocarbon feedstock. So this is particularly important for petrochemical processors where they have waste gas, flare gas, any hydrocarbons that are getting emitted to the atmosphere. We can actually capture that and send it through our reactor and get clean hydrogen and acetylene production out of the process. So a bit about the technology journey of Transform Materials. So we were founded in 2014 by our founder, Dr. David Sohn, and we were set out to valorize natural gas. So in North America, there's a lot of methane emissions in oil fields, in fracking operations, and there's a lot of gas that gets burned and sent to the atmosphere. And so the objective of this company was to look to valorize that natural gas and lock all the carbon into a useful end product. So we set out to do that. We're at the stage where we have a pilot plant at our facility in Florida, and that's what you'll see on this bottom right. And then at this pilot plant, we have the full-scale production process. So we have the reactors, and then we have the separation and purification steps. So from this pilot plant, we can actually package acetylene and hydrogen for customers to test in their process and validate the purity spec and validate that it actually works within their production process. We also have our commercial scale alpha reactor at this facility as well. So what powers the reactor is the microwave component, and the largest commercially available microwave components today are 100 kilowatts. So that is our commercial scale alpha reactor size. And when we build this up into a commercial facility, we just package these alpha reactors together. And I'll talk to that a bit on the next slide. So a bit about the commercial scale facility. This is a rendition of what would be a commercial scale facility at a customer site. And the philosophy is to be modular and scalable for the customer. And so what you see here in the center portion, the blue boxes are where the reactors sit. And these are shop fabricated, and we house 8 reactors in a shipping container. So you can see here, there's 3 shipping containers there. So that houses 24 alpha reactors in our process. And this really can be expanded from there. So we get 8 reactors per shipping container. It's fabricated off-site, shipped to the customer site, and then field installed. And then we get 90% shop fabrication with this design philosophy so that there's minimal connection time and work that has to be done at the customer site. So once it gets to the site, it's just interconnected piping that's necessary. And then as far as scalability, we really can scale the plant to match the customer's demands. And so this can be based off the hydrogen requirement, the acetylene requirement, or the waste gas that is looking to be processed. And we look to size the plant based off the customer demands, and then we just scale the reactors to match that. So we just add in additional block segments to meet the customer's demand. And then the yellow components that surround the facility are just the pre-treatment and post-treatment steps. So we can work with the customer to see what existing infrastructure is there and look to utilize some of the components that they have there already, and we just pull that out of the flow diagram. So here, I'd just like to take a step forward and paint a picture of how Transform's two products can be used in everyday applications. And I'm sure everyone here is aware of hydrogen and its potential to decarbonize the industry, but may not be familiar with where acetylene can be used. And so before we talk about the end products, I just want to give a bit of background on acetylene. So acetylene is a very energy-rich compound. It's a carbon-carbon triple bond, and so there's very little energy input required to convert it to petrochemical to end products. And so it's a very valuable substitute for existing carbon-based feedstocks like ethylene and propylene. And so how acetylene can be used, it can be used as a feedstock for specialty carbon solids, and this is acetylene black and graphene. And acetylene black is a rapidly growing market today because it's a necessary component for lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles, and also as a component for underground cables for renewable energy projects. And so there's a growing demand for acetylene to meet this market, but there's not growing supplies of acetylene. And so Transform's process allows companies to match that demand in the marketplace. And then also Transform's acetylene can be used for petrochemical processing. And so that includes acrylates, chloroprene, butanediol, and PVC. And so some of the end products that use these feedstocks include paints, adhesives, coatings. PVC especially is a very large market and a growing market, especially in regions where they're developing their economy and infrastructure. And then lastly, these are necessary components for consumer-based products. So chloroprene and butanediol will be used for athletic apparel, spandex, wetsuits, and footwear. So everything you see here today is going to contain a carbon-based feedstock to produce that, and acetylene can be used for that as well. So lastly, I just want to finish with the decarbonization impact of this technology. So the technology that we've developed is completely electrified. And so it future-proofs a customer's supply of hydrocarbons and hydrogen. And so if we use renewable electricity, we produce 1 kilogram of CO2 per kilogram of product compared to the alternative processes. And so I didn't touch much on the alternative processes for acetylene, but the predominant form of acetylene production today is a coal-based feedstock. So it's taking coal to calcium carbide and then converting that calcium carbide to acetylene. So when you look at the carbon intensity of this process and steam methane reforming for hydrogen, an equivalent plant would emit about 19 kilograms of CO2 per kilogram of product. So whether we use green or gray electricity, we significantly reduce the carbon intensity of these two products, and we also future-proof the technology to be able to get to a 1 kilogram of CO2 per kilogram of product when using renewable electricity. So lastly, I just invite everyone to stop by our booth at B69 for any additional questions about the technology or our facility. Thank you.